Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with the August 2017 tier changes. Even though we just got them in June, we actually got some new tier changes. I want to give a big shout out to Antar, of course, who always posts these. And if you guys didn't know, Pokemon are put in tiers based on usage, and they either move up or down based on how used they are. So of course, like I said, big shout out to Antar. In this video I'll be giving my initial thoughts, and yeah, obviously you guys can leave your thoughts down below. There's like one or two big changes that are definitely worth mentioning, but I'm going to be going through all of them that he mentioned here. So, and again, I'll be giving my initial thoughts on what I feel for the metagame. So first off, we have Mega Banette move from OU to UU. Again, because the way Sun and Moon, or the way things were going for Sun and Moon, whenever a new Mega was introduced, it was automatically put in OU and had to move down. So it was, you know, it was bound to happen that Mega Banette actually moved down to the UU tier, but of course it started in the OU tier. This is mainly because as a Mega, it's not bad. By no means it's not bad at all. Obviously having the immediate access to Prankster and Will-O-Wisp is pretty cool. I think the biggest thing is Prankster Destiny Bond. Of course you can't use it twice in a row, but because Mega Banette is relatively slow, like let's say I'm in a situation where my opponent switches in Greninja and I go for Destiny Bond on the switch in, the Greninja either has to switch out or attack me and die, and I can just go for Shadow Claw, which means my Destiny Bond is still there and Greninja will go down. So that's a situation where it doesn't matter that Destiny Bond doesn't stack, because Destiny Bond stays unless you go. And of course it did have Gunk Shot for fairies and whatnot, but at the same time, if you were using it as a Mega, it was typically as a Mega that was supposed to get you a trade, so a 1-for-1 Mega. Like I would have it on my team. When I used it actually in a showcase itself, it was there, and what I would typically do is use Destiny Bomb when my opponent had a giant threat, which is by no means bad, and I would sack it off and Mega Banette would go down, and then my opponent's threat would go down, typically like something like maybe a Mega Gyarados. And obviously missing out, Prankster's getting nerfed, Prankster Mon's getting nerfed this generation where they can't work on dark types, so not being able to Will-O-Wisp a Mega Gyarados, not being able to Thunder Wave a Greninja, whatnot, that definitely hurts Banette. But in that sense, it was never meant to really be OU in the first place. I definitely had success with it when I was using it, but again, for the most part, yeah, okay, it was a decent spin blocker for, I guess, Excadrill locked into a move, or to a lesser extent maybe a Fortress, but of course you have Defog. And I mean, it could take a hit, and for the most part, like I said, the way it was used was it would take a hit and die, and use Destiny Bond at the same turn, so your opponent would go down. So if you want an offensive, Ghost type, you know, in OU, you have Gengar, you have Mimikyu even, which can also spin block and even, you know, help versus sweeps with its own disguise. Also having access to Destiny Bond, obviously not Prankster and whatnot, but Disguise working in that case. But it was bound to happen that Mega Banette would move down. I mean, in the UU tier, it's not that bad, I would say, because it has 65 base speed. Actually, sorry, excuse me. Let's go to Banette Mega Banette right here. Sorry about that. It's not updated just yet, but it has 75 base speed. That's what I knew was changed, which is actually not bad, because this is faster than one of UU's biggest threats, which is Primarina. So being faster than that, being able to hit that thing with Gunk Shot and knock it out, that's definitely really cool. Obviously, there are a lot of Megas that are really good in the UU tier. One of them actually moved up, and we'll be talking about that. That's Swampert, which is ridiculous for UU. But Mega Banette, I can definitely see it being decent in the UU tier. Having Prankster Destiny Bond to be able to stop Pokemon that are devastating, like a boosted Xurkitree, or a Calm Mind Lottie, or a Moxie boosted Crocodile, or anything like that, is really cool. So I can definitely see having that niche in the UU tier, and of course being speedy and having that Gunk Shot for Primarina. That's definitely something that I want to test out on it. So that's something that'd be pretty cool. Of course, in the UU tier, when you actually go to UU, there aren't very many Megas besides Aerodactyl, Absol, Beedrill, Blastoise. I mean, you know, I'm obviously naming, but those are the main Megas in the tier. And of course, Pidgeot, Sharpedo, and Sceptile. Swampert's no longer there. So if you are using it, a lot of those Megas are actually pretty staples. Like Mega Blastoise is ridiculous, a great spinner in the tier, and it'll always be able to beat Banette because of Dark Pulse and whatnot. But obviously, like I said, it's a cool little gift that UU might have that can be an offensive check to Primarina. 70%, excuse me, 80% of the time you're knocking it out with Gunk Shot, and then having that Prankster Destiny Bond is really cool for Calm Mind Lottie or a boosted Xurkitree. So that's something I could see being pretty cool in the in the UU tier. So next up, Aggron moved down from OU to UU. I mean, like I said, all megas are starting up in OU, but they will eventually move down if they're not like top tier megas. And Aggron, it's never really a top tier mega. Definitely had a use, being a steel type with all the fairies up in the tier. But it's funny because last generation, and again, I'm just going to give my initial thoughts, and you guys can leave them down below as well. Last generation, Mega Aggron was great in the UU tier. Paired with Florges, it was always able to be at a good amount of HP, taking on dragons, taking on the fairies, Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, Fire Punch. But with the introduction of Xurkitree to the UU tier, I honestly feel like last generation I felt that Mega Aggron outclassed Mega Steelix in UU. This generation I feel like that's flipped. I feel like Mega Steelix outclasses Mega Aggron currently in the UU tier because Steelix obviously has that ground typing that allows it to be a great stop to Xurkitree as well as Raikou, and that's really, really big in the tier, as well as just being naturally a steel type, which helps with fairies in the tier. And it does have Mega Steelix does have that place on stall, like I said, being a ground type to block electric moves and Volt Switch, as well as being able to stop Xurkitree in its tracks, as well as setting up rocks and having Stab Earthquake, which helps out versus Combine Raikou, and Fire types, which will otherwise switch in. So currently I believe that Mega Steelix does outclass Mega Aggron in UU, but if Xurkitree does get banned, we could definitely see a rise in Mega Aggron, at least usage. But like right now, like a lot of the mons in UU are some of the same mons that were there in the last generation. Obviously we have some crazy ones like Gliscor, which will always set up on this unless it's like an avalanche set. And obviously, Mega Pidgeot got banned from UU last generation. Right now it's currently UU. We have Pokemon like Starmie and whatnot. So Sylveon, like I don't know. UU is really a weird tier, and Mega Aggron obviously helps check a lot of threats in there, like SD Scizor if you have Fire Punch, a Weavile, but again, Aurora Steelix can do the same on top of stopping electric attack, electric mons. So currently, I believe that Mega Steelix does outclass Mega Aggron, and if you had asked me last generation, Mega Aggron outclassed Mega Steelix in the tier. But we didn't have Xurkitree last generation, which would tail glow and boost up and sweep teams with Z-Hypnosis and whatnot. So while I do think that Mega Aggron will find a place in the UU tier, I honestly think that Mega Steelix currently currently just it's better than it in my opinion. So these next two, Scolipede moved from OU to UU, Salamence moved from OU to UU. So Scolipede dropped because of the ban of Baton Pass, the move. So Scolipede did not have as much usage in OU. I mean, you could still use spikes and whatnot. T-Spikes, maybe an SD set with the Z Aquatail for Landorus, but it was inevitable that would fall down. Now, unfortunately for you, unfortunately for everybody else that wanted to play with these mons in UU, both Scolipede and Salamence were BL. They were both banned from UU before they moved up to OU, so they will both be BL again. So while it does say that they moved from OU to UU, both of them, no, they will not be allowed in the UU tier. They will go right back to BL, so they just won't be allowed. But you can still use them in OU, they're just not OU by usage. Salamence moved down, interestingly enough. I mean, it's always been a good mon. Obviously, earlier on in Sun and Moon when it was UU and then eventually banned and then moved up to OU, Z-moves were, new, and we had Z, Fly, Salamence. I could definitely see it returning to OU at some point right now, even with all the fairies in the tier, even with Landers spamming Z-moves and whatnot, but with defensive Landers everywhere, fairies everywhere, faster Pokemon, Scarfers, which are literally necessary to be faster than base 100 just because of not only Salamence, but of course Volcarona, like Scarf Chomp, Scarf Greninja with Ice Beam and whatnot. Salamence just fell down. So I can definitely still see it doing work in OU, of course, and you can still use it in OU because it will be BL. But for right now, it will not be allowed in UU, neither will Scolipede. They were both banned, and they will both go back to BL once the latter updates. So Tornadus moved from BL2 to UU. BL2 is when you are banned from RU, but not UU by usage. Now, this was inevitable that Tornadus would move up, mainly because rain teams were being spammed on the ladder. I think I have one right here with Tornadus, if I'm not mistaken, so I can show you. Yes, the Z Hawlucha. This was one of the teams that was being used in the ladder. I'm actually surprised that Kingdra didn't move up to the UU tier, just because it was also another thing that was being used, and there was also another thing that was banned from RU, if I'm not mistaken. It was either banned from RU or banned from RU. I'm pretty sure it was banned from RU. I'm pretty sure it was BL2 alongside, or it is BL2 alongside Tornadus. We can actually just look real quick, so I don't have to give you guys bad information. BL3. It was BL3, excuse me. It was BL3, not BL2. It's crazy because all the BL tiers are actually becoming big. Like, would you guys actually want BL? Because if you actually look at BL right here, we go to OU, and we look down at BL, it's a big tier, man. It has over 10 Pokemon. So it could definitely be, like, BL was never that big. But yeah, anyway, it did have that place because it does have Prankster Rain Dance, and this was a set that was commonly seen. Prankster Rain Dance, Hurricane, Grass Knot for Hippowdon and whatnot, Mega Swampert, and then U-Turn, of course, for Momentum, paired with Damp Rock. However, with the fact that Mega Swampert did just move to OU, and I will talk about that later, I don't want to touch on that too much until we actually get down the list to it. I do not see Tornadus staying UU for the long run. Yeah, it does have a cool set in Bulk Up, and being Prankster Rain, and even Specs is pretty cool, but at the moment where Pidgeot is currently allowed in the UU tier, it just outclasses it as a Hurricaner. It doesn't have to worry about missing. That's the big thing that Tornadus has. Obviously, Tornadus has superpower and whatnot, Grass Knot, which is something that Pidgeot does not have, but Pidgeot can beat Stall with the Work Up, Refresh set, and it does not have to worry about Hurricanes missing. Of course, Tornadus does have that Prankster Tailwind and that Prankster Rain Dance, so while I understand why it moved up to UU, I don't know if it will stay UU for the remainder of Sun and Moon before Ultra Sun and Moon comes out, simply because Swampert moved back up to OU, and even though Kingdra is still a very good Pokemon, but Swampert was just like the crutch of rain teams, being a ground type and being ridiculous, also having access to Stealth Rock and whatnot. So Porygon moved from BL3 to RU. This was expected. It's a great RU Pokemon, being able to deal with Pokemon such as Flygon, even Toxicking pretty much everything. With a Foul Play set, you can beat SD to Blade, a giant threat in the tier. You guys all know what Porygon does. It recovers, it Toxics, it Ice Beams, it clicks Foul Play, sometimes Tri-Attack, sometimes Thunderbolt. It makes sense why it moved up in the tier. Again, checking a prominent threat in the tier, Z Flygon, while also being able to check the Blade and just be a natural wall. And an all-around good special or even physical switching depending on the team. So it moved up, expected, really. It was banned from NU, and now it moved up from BL3, which means banned from NU. BL3 is, you know, the NU ban list, and it moved up to RU. Hawlucha moved from BL2 to UU, and this is definitely, again, something that was very much expected. Hawlucha is a giant threat, a really slept on threat in the U tier. In fact, I think in the future it will be banned just like it was last generation. I believe Hawlucha will be banned from the UU tier. I love it on Veil offense, the SD Citrus Berry. It's so easy to set up with because Crocodile is pretty much necessary on teams as a Scarfer. If not Crocodile, a Scarflati or a Scarfy Dragon, because you need a Scarfer that can beat Xurkitree. And if your opponent does have a Crocodile, Hawlucha switches in on Earthquake, does not care about knockoff, sets up an SD, gets the Unburden boost, and can sweep. It's faster than the entire tier, and it literally just needs Stealth Rock to beat all the tier. It needs Stealth Rock up to beat Togekiss, it needs Stealth Rock up to beat Latias, it needs Stealth Rock up to beat Mega Swampert, which again is gone, but under Veil, it was great in the tier. You can even pair it with Xurkitree with either Power Up, Sky Attack, or Electric Sea with Electric Terrain Xurkitree. A lot of options like that. A great Mon. Happy that it moved up to UU. I don't know if it'll be staying here for the long run, especially because Pokemon like Weavile and Xurkitree will eventually be banned, I'm pretty sure, from the UU tier. Again, these are just my predictions based on how the tier is in itself. But a great threat in the UU tier, and definitely something that's slept on right now. Like, if you guys use Hawlucha in UU. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's so easy to set up and win with it, especially under Aurora Veil, or even just on a regular team, man. If your opponent plays their Crocodile, if your opponent ever goes for knockoff, you go Hawlucha, you set up, and you can win for the most part. So, Mega Abomasnow moved down from OU to UU. Again, I explained the whole Mega thing where Mega is moving down. This is pretty cool, or would have been cooler when Mega Swampert was obviously allowed in the UU tier, being just an automatic stop to that. But I do like Mega Abomasnow. I think it will fit decently well in the tier, being able to break through Pokemon like Alomola Amoonguss with Blizzard Giga Drains, even threatening Pokemon like Cobalion with Focus Blast, having priority Ice Sharp for Hydreigon and Gliscor, having Earthquake to threaten Infernape, also just being naturally bulky, able to take on Pokemon like Latias as well as Xurkitree. I definitely think that it has a place in the tier, checking Raikou naturally, so that'll be fun to spam Blizzards. And I mean, it moved down from OU because it started in OU, and there was no way it was going to stay up there, at least not in this generation anyway. Who knows? Who knows how the next generation would be? But there was no way it would stay there. It's cool that you're able to use it now in the UU tier, and you know you got to worry about those 100% accurate blizzards. And I can even see HP Fire being used for Scizors, so that's something you want to worry about. Just because bulkier teams don't really have very many switch-ins. Even teams with Blissey, if the Abomasnow does have Wood Hammer, it could be a problem. SD Abomasnow is another good one. SD Earthquake, Ice Shard, Wood Hammer / Seed Bomb. Being able to deal with Pokemon like Crawdon. All it has to do is like Earthquake Entei once. If Stealth Rock are up, Entei goes down. So that's another cool one. That definitely moved down, and I'm excited to see like offensive SD Abomasnow, because that actually matches up very, very well versus offense. Offensive Pokemon like Lottie, like Crocodile, like Gliscor even, and SD Abomasnow just deals with it all. So pretty excited to be using that. Now this is a big one. Manaphy moved from OU to UU. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, Manaphy ain't staying in the UU tier for more than a week. Or 2 weeks tops. 2 weeks tops. I'm pretty sure it'll be quick. Get this. What the hell is that in front of my face? Manaphy is staying in OU, or UU rather, for 2 weeks tops. That mon is getting quick ban or suspect tested. Pretty sure it'll be quick ban. But this is ridiculous because it's a range setter that beats Stall on its own with the Rain Dance Rest Hydration set. It's nothing faster than it can OHKO it outside of Mega Sceptile and Raikou. Everything else it can either take a hit from, or it does outspeed in the tier, outspeeding Haxorus, outspeeding Hydreigon, outspeeding Xurkitree, which is big. But again, Raikou and Mega Sceptile are the only 2 Pokemon that can actually OHKO it. If it specs Raikou, or just Leaf Storm Mega Sceptile. If it goes for Gauge Drain, Sceptile doesn't KO, and then Ice Beam KOs back. If it's a non-specs Raikou's Thunderbolt, it doesn't knock it out, and then it'll go down to like +3 Surf or whatnot. So that's really cool, especially because Manaphy is one of those mons that can just run ridiculous amounts of coverage, having Psychic to deal with Tentacruel, Energy Ball to deal with Water types, respectively. It's a really bulky Pokemon as well. It just tanks hits, and this mon is not staying in the tier for that long. I guess Celebi could Speed Tie and hit it with a Bloom Doom and knock it out if it wins that Speed Tie. Amoonguss, yeah, you're getting knocked out by +3 Ice Beam, so it don't matter. Alamola set of fodder. So fatter teams that Piff Stall, let me see if I got it right here. What do I have it? Yeah, Fatty McFatterson right here is getting blown away by Manaphy. This team is definitely going to be shaken up, because if I'm using Tail Glow, Rest, Scald, Rain Dance Manaphy, this team is blown away. All I need is a burn on Tentacruel to beat it down, or to be knocked off, or maybe even Psychic on my set. So, yeah, this team is getting blown away by that. Quagsire is to get killed by Scald in the rain. So that's definitely good for people who hate Stall in the U tier, but like I said, Manaphy is not staying in the tier for that long. I definitely see a rise in Raikou, especially with Mega Swampert being gone. Raikou is definitely going to rise up again. Subcomp Mine Raikou is another thing I could definitely see being just better now that the only ground type it really has to deal with besides regular Swampert is like Steelix. I guess Crocodile as well, but Crocodile is 2-hit KO'd by HP Ice anyway, so it can't really risk switching in. And if it does come in when Raikou's behind his sub, it gets that hit off. So, and obviously Steelix again checks it, which is, like I said, why I feel like it's better right now currently than Aggron. But wow, Manaphy moved from OU to UU. It dropped from UU. I think honestly, as an offensive, it's good. It's good in UU. It's definitely good. One team I've been messing around, or OU, excuse me, is this this bird spam team that people brought back, kind of, because it's Flame, Z, Dragonite, Mega Pinsir, when not quote unquote bird spam. And Tail Glow Manaphy with Psychic knocks out Toxapex, which is pretty cool. But I mean, and Sub-Zero Slammer +3 knocks out Pokemon like Tentacruel. But currently, as an offensive water type in the tier, like Greninja outclasses it. Obviously, I mean, it's a Greninja, so what can you say? I think it's just harder to set up with this Pokemon right now, especially with all the Mons running around. Magearna eating a hit and knocking it out with Z Thunderbolt and whatnot. It's by all means a great Pokemon. Its usage just fell down. That's just pretty much it. When we eventually see a Greninja, maybe a Dugtrio, and what's it called? Magearna, suspect or ban or anything. That's assuming, you know, we see some sort of Greninja ban. We see some sort of Magearna suspect test, and we see maybe an Arena Trap suspect test. Well, they'll all be suspects at anything, I'm pretty sure. Manaphy will move back up. It's still a good mon. By all means, a great mon. Z-moves just make it so hard, man, to set up with this. But, like, not in UU, though. UU, it's faster than everything. And OU has to worry about Kartana. It has to worry about Tapu Koko, which is a big one. But versus fatter teams is really good. And Manaphy plus like Zygarde pressures a lot together, so that's something I will see moving up, and I will be definitely seeing it banned from the U tier. Suicune moved from BL2 to UU. That is my baby. Suicune has been rising in usage, with Swampert going down as well. Sub Calm Mind, or even Sub Protect Toxic to Vincoon. But with Toxic over like Calm Mind is still pretty cool right now. Just being able to stall out Mantine, beating down Primarina and whatnot. And I mentioned Suicune. I mentioned Swampert because Suicune was typically switching to Swampert, where it could take Waterfalls. Offensive Suicune could take Waterfall into Earthquake, but now it doesn't have to worry about that. So Subcom Mind Suicune can definitely make a return. Super good in the tier. 2 Pokemon can beat it. Besides, like, not even Haze, Tentacruel really beats it if it gets burnt / knocked off. But that would be Mantine, which obviously is immune to it, as well as Volcanion. But Volcanion can be stalled out, pressure stalled, and Mantine can't really touch it. So that's why Toxic was also used on the set. So really cool mon to finally be going up. Manaphy obviously gives it some problems, but it'll definitely be a Pokemon that stays in the UU tier from now on, I'm pretty sure. So it was just inevitable that a walk got up there. Pelipper moved from U to OU. Pelipper was never a factor in the UU tier simply because Drizzle is banned in UU and below, so Pelipper never got to use that rain. But Drizzle is not banned in the OU tier, and Pelipper is on every team with Mega Swampert, or teams with Greninja, or teams with Tapu Koko, so it did move up because of the usage of rain. Rain is very, very, very good in OU, especially because Mega Swampert gets that auto speed boost, and the fact that it has Earthquake, Stab Earthquake, a really strong Stab Earthquake at that, being able to deal with Toxic effects, Ice Punch, which can 2-hit KO Tangrowth with Rocks up, because they're all running Assault Vest at the moment for Greninja and whatnot. Rain has just become a giant threat, a legit threat too. I don't consider it a gimmick. At one point, maybe in the previous generation, I would have considered it like a gimmick, but Rain has definitely changed, and it has the tools now to beat a lot of different teams, especially with Z-moves, especially with Pokemon like Dougie and running around, so and Toxapex and the way the meta is. So Pelipper moved up to OU, and yeah, it's probably gonna stay there for the rest of the generation. Simply because it gets the auto rain, it defogs, as Roost, as U-turn, has good momentum. It's not necessarily a good Pokemon, though. Specs Pelipper, it hits really hard. Like, having 100% accurate Hurricanes because of your ability, because of the rain, and also having Specs Hydro Pumps, they hit hard. They definitely hit hard. But it's probably going to stay OU. I definitely see it staying OU for the rest of the metagame. Camerupt moved from OU to UU, which is interesting because Camerupt was definitely seeing some usage being a Magearna check, seeing some usage on Trick Room being a wall breaker. Moving down to UU, that's pretty cool. I think that UU does have some options now for Xurkitree. Like, that, it's a good Pokemon that can take, obviously, +3 Grass Knot can knock it out. But it's a Volt Switch stopper. It stops Raikou, Cold, and it's tough to switch into. So, especially if you have like Ancient Power, Hidden Power Electric for Mantine and whatnot. Like, it deals with like this fat core. All of these mons are either O-code or 2-hit KO'd. It's bulky. Obviously, it has to watch out for water types, right, and ground types, but it can take a hit. And it also stops Magneton as well, so that's pretty cool. Though watch out for Specs Analytic Flash Cannon on the switching, because that could potentially 2-hit KO depending on your investment. But being a Pokemon not weak to knock off, as well as good for Weavile, also being able to deal with Xurkitree and whatnot. So, cool Pokemon. Excited to use in the U tier. Excited to use it on potentially Trick Room or just offense or balance in general, with maybe like Wish support from, I want to say, Sylveon or something. I could definitely see those two being paired, but definitely excited to be using it. Mega Audino moved from U to RU. I mean, it's as a fairy type, as a Wish passer, it's outclassed by Sylveon, having Pixelate boosted Hyper Voice, and obviously just being pure fairy type. That's a big thing. Being normal, while it does give you that ghost immunity, which isn't really too prevalent in the UU tier. If you actually look at the UU tier, there's one ghost type in it. There's two, excuse me, Chandelure and Decidueye. So I guess being able to switch into Shadow Balls is cool, but I mean, Sylveon takes Shadow Balls anyway. Doesn't matter. And what did Audino really have as an offensive presence, at least for now? Like, last generation, you used it in NU, like maybe an offensive Calm Mind set with Surf for Rhydon, Dazzling Gleam, Fire Blast, which is pretty cool. But as a Wish passer in the UU tier, which is mainly what Audino does do, Sylveon outclasses it. And as far as RU goes, Florges completely outclasses it. It is it's a fairy wall that doesn't take up your mega slot. So if you're looking in the RU tier, you don't have to use this as your mega. Not that there are very many megas in the RU tier anyway. There's Glalie, as well as that's pretty much it, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's just Glalie, but I don't see it staying RU. I think that Mega Audino will eventually fall down to NU, and maybe even PU, but more than likely just stay NU because it's, you know, it's a good wall in the NU tier, though it has competition from Aromatisse down there. But Florges just being able to take those hits, and as well as just passing those nice wishes, being a cleric and having Moonblast as well. Like, it just, I don't know, it's just significantly better, in my opinion. It has better Spadef, though obviously Mega Audino is passing those fat wishes. But the thing about Mega Audino is, if it kept Regenerator, man, it would be so much better, because when you come in with Mega Audino, you either got to decide, okay, am I going to wish up myself or I'm going to wish up my opponent, whereas Florges has also access to Synthesis and Wish, so it can wish up, it can heal up itself while also being a supportive mon, and yeah, it just outclasses it and takes on Flygon and whatnot in the tier without having to give up your mega slot. So that's a big thing. And with there being like 50 million steel types in RU, you got Bronzong, you got the Blade, you got Durant, you got a Scavalier, like, with those all being prevalent Pokemon, and Registeel, of course, with all those being prevalent Pokemon in the RU tier, I don't see Mega Audino staying RU. It will move down. Now, this is the big one. Mega Swampert moved from UU to RU. I told you, Rain is just so good in the OU tier, and this has definitely shaken up the UU meta. Mega Swampert was amazing on Veil offense. It was amazing on offense. It was amazing as an offensive or defensive check to Raikou, blocking Volt Turn, or at least Volt Switch rather. Bug type immunity, that'd be pretty cool. A ground type with a bug type immunity, an ability like that, that'd be really, really cool. Thinking about that, blocking Volt Turn, just the idea of that. Anyway, this really shakes up the UU meta, because Mega Swampert was ridiculous to switch into. What was the counter to it? Mantine? That's about it. As far as I know, in the UU tier, Mantine. Everything else is being 2-hit KO'd, man. It don't matter if you're defensive, you being 2-hit KO'd. Outside of Alamola, but Alamola with Rocks Up? Alamola Rocks Up, and Alamola also being a premier fire type switching to Entei, so getting burnt by Sacred Fire. Like, it's a wrap, man. Mega Pert, man, hit so hard in the tier. And losing it just opens up the door for so many mons. I don't got to worry about... a lot of my teams actually just got a lot better because Mega Swampert is gone. Granted, half my teams are also scrapped now. But Mega Swampert being gone is ridiculous. As an offensive water type, you can obviously use Mega Blastoise now. But being in the OU tier, that's awesome. Again, I told you, Mega Swampert having that auto speed boost is just, that change to Megas has been so good for a lot of them. Just having that auto speed boost, it's going to stay OU for the rest of the generation. It is naturally a check to Magearna, takes on Tapu Koko, takes on everything, man. It's fast. It gets the +2 speed in the Rain. And Rain is definitely, again, it's not a gimmick this generation. It's a very, very, very solid strategy. In previous generations, I'll even go back to DPP. Rain is something I would whip out if I hadn't used it in a while and my opponent wouldn't expect it, like in a tournament and whatnot, and I could win with it for the most part. I also had Dugtrio on it to trap Tyranitar, and obviously as the generations passed and we lost Auto Weather, Manual Rain became more so of a gimmick, though even having Politoed on it, like Politoed ain't Pelipper, man. Pelipper has U-Turn and Default and Roost. Politoed don't have that. Politoed is arguably, in Gen 5 it was a great Pokemon, quote unquote, for a few reasons. Obviously outspeeding +1 Dragonite, having Encore, Perish Song, and the fact that it had Auto Rain and Scald. But when we have Pelipper now with Mega Swampert, a Rainmon that can come in and keep up momentum with U-Turn and allow this Savage Beast to come through, click Earthquakes, Ice Punch, Rain Boosted Waterfalls, Rain Boosted Aqua Tails, 2-hit KOing defensive Celesteela, physically defensive Celesteela at that. Having access to Stealth Rock, that's amazing. Obviously, again, UU just lost a ground type that checks a lot of the tier. A Pokemon that can sweep a lot of teams. Offense appreciates and doesn't appreciate the fact that Mega Swampert is gone. Offense loved using Mega Swampert as a sweeper, a Pokemon, a manual sweeper, a self sweeper. It could set up a Rain Dance and sweep on its own. Didn't have to care. All you needed was Pokemon at like 80% and they would die to Swampert Stab / Ice Punch respectively. And it was so bulky too, like it would tank hits. Base 110 defense, base 110 special defense with base 100 HP, so bulky. But now, offense have lost that. So offense got a little bit weaker. Veil offense, for the most part, got a little bit weaker. I can see Sharpedo being used more now that Mega Swampert is gone. Just as a Mega Sweeper that can sweep on its own, though it doesn't hit as hard. Though, I mean, Strong Jaw, Boosted Crunch, Ice Fang, and Psychic Fangs are nothing to be messed with, definitely. But again, offense hates that it lost that because offense loved abusing it and offense hated fighting it. So offense hated fighting it because offense, you know, it's offense. It doesn't have switch into stuff. It's not balance. It's not stall. It's not a team that's designed to switch into this hit and then react to that. It was a team that decided to hit hard, make predictions, either win or lose. Obviously, that's what Pokemon is, winning or losing. But offense was more so a quick play thing. You set up your Stealth Rock, you try and attack, you set up your Rain Dance with Swampert, and you go. And offense also didn't like dealing with opposing Swampert. A lot of the ways the offense dealt with it was either speed ties with its own Swampert, keeping Lottie healthy enough to take one hit so your Draco does like 60% to Swampert and then you can revenge kill it, or maybe like Scissor's U-turn after taking a waterfall and praying that you weren't flinch. So offense loved and hates that it loses Swampert, and the metagame is definitely going to be shook up, like just straight up. Swampert was so good at revenge killing everything, just in the rain and just being a prominent threat, and we just lost a ground type that can deal with Xurkitree, forcing Xurkitree to run Energy Ball and whatnot. But yeah, that's a big change. Manaphy's a big change, and I do want to know your thoughts on these. I know I've been talking for quite a bit, but like I said, I wanted to give my thoughts on this, and I hope you guys either I don't know, I sparked, I don't know, I just want to know what you think. That's pretty much it. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed, learned something, or at least I sparked some type of discussion going on in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm really excited to use Manaphy. Hopefully I can get up alive with it today, assuming it's not quick ban by the time I wake up, because currently it's not. The tier changes haven't been set, but tomorrow they should be most likely. I'm recording this at night on Sunday, so hopefully by Monday I can get a live up with that. But like I said, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing, and I'll see you guys next time. Let me know your thoughts. Goodbye, friends.